everyone. It's your favorite host, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we have a very dynamic speaker, a powerhouse speaker on the show today. This woman is changing the way and making a way. I love it. Trailblazer, reshaping the finance landscape and really paving the way for us as men and women to really see the relationship with finance and really change the paradigm shift and our relationship with money. I've always heard in different groups and mastermind groups that people often relate money and have a fear towards money and in aspects rebuke money. But money can actually be a good thing, and it allows you the freedom and the capability to make impact and change not only your circumstances, but the world around you in a positive way. And this woman is truly on a mission to empower individuals to recognize and transform those mental blocks that we've developed and subconsciously and consciously, those beliefs, and change it for the better that's been hindering us to our financial success. And so help me welcome, without further ado, this powerhouse speaker to the stage, Miss Scarlette Rojas to the stage. Welcome, Miss Rojas. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show.
Thank you for having me, Marcus. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. Ma'am, you are amazing. What you're doing is absolutely necessary, and it's truly profound, and it's absolutely what we have been seeking and needing for a long time. But your mission did not come without some strife. Mm-hmm. It didn't come without a turning point in your life. And so can you give us some insight? What was a low point in your life, in your journey to growing to be the powerhouse speaker and the woman you are today? And how did you overcome it? And what changed and what caused you to make a difference and impact in the world today?
Thanks for that. I'm so happy to be here. And I'll dive right in. Actually, one of the turning points of my life was an accident I had. And it was a little over 10 years ago. And it was actually during the financial crisis. So do you remember the Great Recession? Right. Yes. And I remember I went to work. I was at work, and all of a sudden the lights turned off. They just shut off. And I'm like, well, what's happening here? Oh. Right. So I waited a little while, and I was actually in management at that point. And I remember saying, all right, you know what? It doesn't seem like we can do anything about it. I'm just going to step out. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. And as I walked over to get coffee, I was crossing the street, and then I get hit by a pickup truck. Yes. And that right there, the moment that happened, there was just so many thoughts that were going through my mind. But there was two thoughts that were the loudest in my mind. One of them was, is this it? Was that all to my life? Because I felt like bamboozled. And then the second thought was, what kind of morning did I have with my son that day? And that question really bothered me, because at that point I was going through a divorce. And so I was a single mom. And so then it just bothered me that I didn't know if I had one of those mornings where it was a happy morning, or was it a morning where I was so stressed that maybe I made him cry. And it bothered me so much. And I remember laying on the concrete waiting for the ambulance to come. And that was just the question that just kept going through my mind, because if I would have died that day, he would have remembered me either from that morning, right? Of course, he would remember the other things, but that morning would have been so, so important to him. And so I realized that I was sleepwalking through life. And that was a big turning point for my life.
That's huge. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you overcame that battle and that fight, and you're here with us creating change. That is tremendous to go through something like that. It sounds like your son was your inspiration. Your did you say, forgive me, son, right? Or
yes, my son. Yeah. Yeah, and he was because during that time, I think the biggest thing that was happening is I was kind of grappling with life, right? Understanding, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And I remember this anger with God. And I went through this time where I would talk to God. I'm like, I just don't understand. You're basically taking everything away from me. This is happening to me. It's not fair. And then it just kind of took me through this place. And I remember having this very powerful dream that I really feel is God sent. And I came to this conclusion of, we don't ask God why, right? So we are here as a blessing. We are here with a purpose. And then now my next step was to find my purpose and move forward instead of getting caught in the why.
That's big because a
Mhm.
lot of us, we go through life, like you said,
Mhm.
sleepwalking
Yeah,
and never realizing the two biggest reasons in life. I think they're the two
yeah,
biggest reasons. The two significant moments in anyone's life is the day they were born and the
yeah,
day they figure out why.
yeah.
And when you figured out why, that was the butterfly coming out of the cocoon for you and
Mhm.
transforming you into the incredible woman you are today. Round of applause for Miss
Mhm.
Rojas.
Thank
That's
you.
necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's the
huge.
day you figure out your purpose. Yeah.
That's big. How did you handle some or let's can you share some of your big financial mistakes that you were making at that time so that we can relate to you? What were some financial mistakes that you made during that time that made you realize that you were just coasting through life and not truly living life in abundance?
Yeah. So one of the mistakes is not being on the same page with my partner. So I believe, and one of the things that I do advise now is, before going into a marriage, you need to talk about finances. And I actually believe speaking about finances in the early dating term is super important, because we need to be on the same page. You need to understand, what type of money personality does your partner have? What does your partner want out of life, right? In the future? And what is your partner doing now? How are they using money to create what they want now? How do they use money now? What kind of debt do they have? All of these pieces of information are so important for you to understand what you're getting into, because that's a very big value in your life. People tend to make the mistake of thinking, oh, money is not important. No, money is extremely important. It is in every part of your life, and you use it for everything. So that was, I think, one big mistake, is not being on the same page as my partner, not having a full understanding before I got married. So that's number one. Number two is, we are sold this American dream of the big house, and the grass and the vacations and all this good stuff, but then no one tells us, this is how much it's going to cost, and make sure that you're doing these things before you spend on this American dream, right? So that's another thing. It's I was living the American dream lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that my finances were perfect. So that's another mistake that I made as well.
That's so good. That's so
Mhm,
good. I can absolutely relate to that. I didn't make it important and pay attention to these things early on. I think a lot of us can relate to that and
yeah.
connect with you and really pull closer to you because of what you've been through. It's
Mhm,
not right. It's and what I hear when you speak, I don't hear about, oh, look at the flashy car, look at the
mhm,
nice houses. I hear heart, right? I
mhm.
hear a heart behind the passion, and so you are celebrating the hard work that you put in early on, and
Yeah.
that's big. If
Mhm.
what you I also hear sacrifice.
Yeah.
What's a sacrifice that you had to make to change you and your son's future to be the woman you are today? Did you have to make any sacrifices because you're a big businesswoman,
Mhm.
big, and you're a Latina in
Yes.
America?
Yes.
I can't forget that. I
Yeah.
can't overlook. She's a Latina in America, changing the paradigm for her family.
Yes.
What? did you have to make any sacrifices to achieve success?
100%. You definitely, I mean, I had to make sacrifices, and everybody has to make some type of sacrifice. And so a couple of sacrifices that I needed to make is one, I needed to get rid of my victim mentality. So you're sacrificing your victim mentality for your future. And it's actually a pretty good trade. So, what do I mean by that? Instead of looking at myself as who I was in the past, or my woe is me attitude, right? Poor me, I'm a single mom, and poor me, I'm making this much, and now I have to take care of a child on my own. Okay, let that go and get it done. That's it. So, that is the goal. And so I had to just look at that and say, what is holding me back? It's myself. We tend to believe that it's outside factors holding us back. It's not. It's your inability to get around those outside factors. That's one. Another sacrifice I needed to make is I needed to sacrifice my wanting mind. That is, I want to get my nails done. I want to get my hair done. I want to, just buy this new thing. I want to buy these shoes. I want to go here. I want to, those are your wanting mind. That is just you wanting things. It's immediate gratification. So, in order for me to plan and build for the future, and in order for you to plan and build for the future, you're going to have to sacrifice immediate gratification. So, that's another thing I had to sacrifice as well. And then lastly, I also had to sacrifice my past version of myself. And that's one of the hardest things for people to sacrifice, because we're so stuck to the story of who we were in the past, who our tribe is, that we feel a certain way when we become successful. We think like, oh, I'm leaving my tribe behind. Or wait a minute, am I even allowed to be this successful? Because I was like, a low income kid growing up in an inner city. Can I even do this? Those are your subconscious beliefs beginning to creep up on you. And so I needed to understand the subconscious belief system for me to be able to just get through that glass ceiling.
That's big. That's big. Nuggets, mic drop. If I had an extra mic to give her, y'all, I would give her another mic so she could drop it. That is gold. We have to let go. We
Uh-huh.
have to let go of who we are. And your friends, you can't let friends and family hold you back because they
Mhm.
know the old you.
Yeah,
The old, but
exactly.
the old you isn't gonna get you there.
Right, right.
That's so major. Who has been your biggest advocates during your journey to the woman you are today? Who have been your biggest supporters throughout this
Mm.
growth and your success?
I think I'm gonna, you know what? That's actually a good question. I've not thought of that. But if I have to think about that right now, I think I'm gonna say my father. My father's been a very big advocate, and he's always been very supportive and just kind of cheering me on in the background. Um, One of the biggest things that I anchored myself to is God. That has been like God has been my partner in every part of my life, every single part of my life. And if it hadn't been my faith in God, then I don't know if I would have made it this far, because there's no way I could have believed in myself this much based on pure willpower. This was more faith based. The When I realized, oh my God, I almost died, but I'm still here, I realized, okay, God, you have me here for a reason. Show me what that reason is. Allow me to see what I'm supposed to be doing to help others, because I'm sure He didn't leave me here to frolic on my own, but show me what I'm supposed to be doing to help others and help me get there. So this isn't a me thing. I really think this is a God thing. And so that's been really what I've anchored myself to. So if I had to say who supported me until now, consistently, it's going to be God.
Amen. Amen. We'll take that. We'll take that.
Which is
Amen.
a tough thing, right, Marcus? It's a tough thing because God is like, you can't see, God. You can't sit and see him like a human being would, like you do a friend, right? But it's your faith that has to kind of be there with you and just remind you that he is there. He is there. He does have your back, and you just have to kind of keep going back to that, and that becomes really hard when things are at their lowest.
Absolutely. You have to have something bigger than yourself, because people will fail you. People will let you down.
100%.
So and I will let myself
Yes,
down if
exactly.
my faith and my belief system isn't intact.
Right.
You're so
Exactly.
right. You're so right. One more round of applause for Ms. Rojas. Spilling the
Thank
tea.
you. Thank you.
This is huge. How do you Thank you for sharing your sacrifices and your journey and your walk up to that. You have an incredible mind, very well educated, very intelligent, smart, beautiful woman. Why finance? Why the world of finance? Because you could do anything, right?
Yeah.
You could do anything you set your mind to.
Mhm.
It could have been real estate,
Right.
it could have been blockchain,
Mhm.
cryptocurrency, it could have been anything.
Mhm.
Why the world of finance did you choose that?
It was because what I saw as a child. I'm a daughter of immigrant parents. And so I saw my dad work really hard and still not have much to show for it. And I always wondered, like, what is my dad not doing that my friends' dads are doing, right? Why do they get the ballet classes? Why do they get to go on trips? Why do they get the nice clothes and I don't? And so I started wondering about money. And so that became this inquisitive mind and curiosity around money, and that's what led me into studying this when I went to college. I mean, actually, when I went to college, I wasn't interested in money. I was an English literature major, but for some reason, money kept being something on my mind. So then I minored in economics, almost double majored in economics. I took so many classes. And then afterwards, I ended up going into the finance industry.
That's big. That's
Yeah.
big. That's big. That's a real turning point. Thank you again, Dad, for being the example,
Yeah.
right? Our
That's true.
dads being the example and showing you that, hey, this is different. You sound like Robert Kiyosaki. That reminded me of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Were there any books, any nuggets that you teach your fans, your followers, other single moms out there? Any tips there that you suggest that they do to start the shift and to start the change in that mindset and that belief system? Any recommendations there? Any things that you did?
Well, I definitely recommend my book, 31 Badass Money Mindset Affirmations. What I did there is I put two things together. I had psychology and finance. So it's a book of affirmations. So you say it every single day. You have a new affirmation, but you also have exercises based on financial literacy that help you see your numbers and understand where you are, not only numbers wise, but also where your mindset is and some subconscious belief systems that could be holding you back. Because when I work with people, I could tell them exactly what to do, but for some reason, they will get into debt again. And so I started noticing that pattern, and that's what made me begin honing in on the mindset and the psychology behind money. Because there is a thermostat, a financial thermostat that you have. And so if it's set to a certain degrees, I will only make, $80,000. I'll never hit that 100 mark, right? Because I come from this background, then you're consistently going to hold yourself back. Even if you win the lottery, you're going to come right back. And there's statistics around that, that most lottery winners actually end up claiming bankruptcy because they have a low financial thermostat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So get her book. Where can we get your book? I
So,
want to.
so it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on Spotify, Audible. Uh, yeah, it just came out on Audible and then Apple Books.
Absolutely. Connect and get her book, y'all. It is
Mm,
transformational. We have to change that mindset. We have to change our mindset, but it starts with education. You gotta
yes,
educate. In
yes,
in this day and age, and you can attest to this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. People are not readers. People are not picking on. I remember a friend, he had a friend that was going through a financial hardship, a
yeah.
divorce, and he was asking for money, right? Money will solve my problems. And the
Mhm,
friend knew that he needed a book. He needed a
mhm,
good book because he needed to change his mindset
yeah.
about how he handled his money. But also what the friend did is he put $100 in the book, and
Mhm.
then he wrapped it and gifted it to the friend. And for a year, the friend never opened the book and he never read and he never picked it up. So a year later, he comes back and he's like, "Hey, man, I never read that book. I want to give it back to you." So the guy rips the wrapping off, shakes the book, and $100 falls out. So the answers to the things we need they're out there. We
Yeah,
live in an age of information. And
yeah.
so get that book. What can people expect when they buy the book? Should they be prepared for, or what should they be ready to do? Is take action, right? That's the
Yes,
first step.
yes. I think it's gonna be you have to be ready to have a shift and to dig deep, because this will go deeper into your emotions and what's happening in your subconscious. And then you got to be ready to take action, and you have to be ready to commit, because look, I can tell you to read this book. I can give you a whole list of books. I can give you all the books I've read, which would be way too many, but you're not going to do it because you're not committed to yourself. At the end of the day, you don't have to commit to me. You don't have to commit to reading a book. You have to commit to yourself. So when you don't do these things, all I see is a lack of commitment in you.
Absolutely. How do you this is profound, and I can't lift up Miss Rojas enough for what the work she's doing and the incredible work she's doing, because this is like a pandemic inside the pandemic, right? This is a problem that we all are facing and going through and suffering from, and it's the root of all evil. I posted a video on social media, and it's been getting it has 600,000 views,
Wow.
and
Mhm.
it's all it is me sharing and it's mostly mothers, women, wives. We're struggling financially.
Mm.
One woman is commenting and saying, "I made $80,000 and
Mm.
I'm still struggling. I'm still living paycheck to
Yeah.
paycheck.
Yeah.
Me and my husband combined, we make six figures and we're still living
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck."
Mhm.
Miss Rojas, can you speak to that mother out in the audience right
Mhm.
now who is today living paycheck to paycheck
Mhm.
and still financially struggling?
Yeah. So here's the hard truth. You can either make more, right? Or spend less,
Mm,
or both. Your choice. So math is math. That's it. That's how simple it truly is. And unfortunately, is inflation a problem? Absolutely, it's a problem. But what's also a problem is our inability to actually stick with a plan. That's our problem. We are so accustomed to immediate gratification that we will just get whatever's in our Amazon cart and not think about the consequences later on. So it's very simple. You can start with 3 steps. Number one is look at what is coming in. What's your income, right? Look at what's going out. What are your expenses? Just your necessary expenses, not all the crap you buy on top of that. Okay. Your necessary expenses. Then look at what's left over from that. Okay. So typically, let's say to make numbers easy, $10,000 and your expenses are $7,000 on a monthly basis. You should have $3,000 available for you to invest. Okay. But what's happening with most people is that they're just buying things, they mindlessly spend. But what you can do is just do the math. And then look at your credit card statements. See where this money is going and why, right? But the lack of intentionality is what's holding people back. So those are like two simple steps. Then whatever is left over, what you can do is you can begin an automated savings plan. So you can put it into a savings account, you can put it into investment accounts, but here's the thing. Once you do that, don't touch it. You cannot touch the cookie jar. That's it.
Ooh.
So those are the three basic steps. Easy, easy peasy. Money is easy.
Money is easy. The math has to math, people. She
Yeah.
just broke it down. Math has to math. I want to talk to our women for a
Mhm,
second, and I need your help because
mhm,
I've never been a woman.
mhm.
So there's an emotional aspect to finances.
There is.
And so we are coming into the holidays,
Mhm,
and it is very tempting
mhm,
for, I can imagine, a mom who has her son looking her dead in the eye and say, "Mom, I need that Xbox. I gotta have that those sneakers, or my friends will make fun of me."
yeah,
And bullying is a real thing,
yeah,
and a woman's feelings are just as important.
yeah.
How do our emotions influence our investments and saving decisions, and what can we do to make more rational choices? Should I set up the, you said earlier, saving, set up that saving? Should it be automatic to help remove the emotional aspect? What things can
Yes.
a mother do to remove emotions and make it easier on them?
So the answer to that question, should it be automatic? Yes. It should just you set it up
Yeah.
and you're done. Don't touch it after that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But how do emotions mess with finances? The brain actually, there's two pieces to it. There's an emotional part to the brain, and then there's a logical part to the brain. And most people make decisions with the emotional part of the brain. Okay. So keep that in mind. When you're out and you're shopping, you have to stop and say, do I need this stuff? Or is it just me being emotional? I see this candle and it's like, oh, I really want that, and you just put it in your cart. Then you see, these fluffy slippers and you put it in your cart. And then you see something that your kid would like and then you put it in your cart. Are these necessities or am I just being emotional with my money? Okay. That's how emotions creep in, especially during the holidays. But let me shed some light on that.
Please.
If you go back in your childhood and you think at the fondest moments you had with your children, was it when your parents gave you a grand gift? Or was it in those little moments that meant so much to you? I remember there's one moment in my childhood that I woke up to finding an Annie doll on my bed. Okay. And I remembered that moment and I was just so happy I had that Annie doll and my dad had given it to me. Okay. That's a small gift, right? And actually it may have been like he was a truck driver at that point, so I think like it was one of his friends had given it to him, or like an owner of a store had given it to him and he brought it for me, right?
Mhm.
So it probably didn't even cost him anything. And it meant so much to me. But us parents are under this impression that we have to spend hundreds of dollars on our child to make them happy. No, you don't. What you need to do is spend more time with your child. And that's going to fill their heart, not the stuff you give them.
Facts. So facts.
Yeah.
You're so right. I know too many parents make that mistake. I had a family member tell me that his daughter, who's now a teenager, said that she was tired of watching mommy and daddy spend so much time away. They're both military. They were both military, and they were always working. They were always
Mhm.
hustling. They were always holding a job. They were always getting a second job, a third job,
Yeah.
so they can afford the stuff,
Yes.
right? And then the child was like, I didn't need none of
I
that.
didn't want the stuff. Exactly. And one thing, right, with my wealthy clients, my very wealthy clients, when I do just mindset work with them, it's funny because they feel like they had to fill this hole that they had from their childhood of their parents not being around with them being successful. So then now they're striving for success because part of their brain, they don't realize this logically, but part of you, your subconscious, is doing it because you're wondering, am I good enough now? Am I good enough for you to spend time with me now? Am I lovable now? You know? And they strive for perfection. They strive for success because of that. But then, it's funny because it becomes a generational pattern because these same clients that are actually struggling with that are doing the same thing to their children. So it's just interesting, how much emotion is behind that.
Absolutely. Your kids want you home, y'all.
Yeah.
Your kids want you.
Your kids want you and time with you. And yeah.
Absolutely. Ms. Rojas, do you believe that anyone can become a millionaire, or are there certain qualities required that someone needs to have in order to be a millionaire? Is it achievable for everyone, or what are your thoughts there?
If you truly want it. So maybe not anyone could become a millionaire, but people that actually want it and are willing to have a disciplined approach, yes, you can 100% become a millionaire. I grew up in a low income family. I'm a first generation millionaire.
You're the first millionaire in your family.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
What is that conversation like around Thanksgiving and the dinner table? That's got to be hard.
No,
No, not at
no,
all.
it's not. My family doesn't see me that way, right?
Mhm.
So it's funny because I recently did documentation, for my mom. I recently did legal documentation to just make sure, everything's going to be okay for her. And, she second guessed every single thing I said. And I'm like, okay, mom, do you understand that I have multimillionaires that I do financial plans for? Like I do this all the time for multimillionaires. She doesn't get it. So for a family, they don't see you that way. So it's not that difficult. I think one thing that gets difficult is your family knowing you're successful and then tapping into you, right? So thinking that they can depend on you. But I'm a big believer of if I created it, you can too. I can either give you a fish for a day or I can teach you to fish. If you want me to teach you to fish, come spend time with me. But if you're not ready to spend time with me, then you don't want to learn to fish.
True.
You just want free fish. And I'm not in the business of giving that.
True. We're out of fish over here, y'all. I ain't got no fish for you. I ain't got no fish for you. How do you balance your time between raising your son and building your business,
Mhm.
also doing self-care?
Mhm.
How do you balance all of those things? Because that's
Yeah.
not easy.
Is not. How did I balance it? My son's 21 now, so, like, now I really
Oh,
don't have to do much.
forgive me.
That's okay. But how did I balance it? And really, to be honest, like, that was a tough thing. It wasn't easy to balance that. I really put myself last for many, many years, or maybe a couple of decades, I guess you can say, right? So, um, for me, it was most important at the top of it was my son always. But I also knew that I needed to make money for my son. So my career then came second. And then unfortunately, I came last, and God was always there. But actually, now that my faith has gotten stronger, I wish I had had the knowledge, the biblical knowledge, right? The faith and the spirituality that I have now. I wish I would have had it back then because I think things would have been a lot easier. So I think one thing that's going to be super important for the moms out there, for the dads out there that are doing it alone, or even if you're not doing it alone, it's pretty tough, is to have community, is to have people that you tap into that can help you. Not only your mom, dad, and your brothers and sisters, but to open yourself up to other community. The church is a wonderful way of doing that, to find a good church that you like, right? You could church
Mhm.
hop until you find something, or having a group of very close friends that you truly can rely on is going to be important, because those are the same friends, those are the same community that you can go to when you're having really tough times, or when you kind of think, what the heck am I doing here? Why is this happening? Or I'm feeling really depressed right now. So that's going to be key to going through life.
That's huge. That's
Mhm.
huge. That is core. Is
Yeah.
is surrounding yourself with the kind of people, with the kind of minds, it's not just physically but spiritually, that are
Yes.
in sync with you. That's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah,
So
and
true.
mentally, right? You want to be around game changers as well. You want to have mentorship. That's the other thing. That's huge, is having a mentor, finding a couple of mentors so that they can just guide you, because they've been there and they've done that.
Too many. I meet too many entrepreneurs, too many business owners that won't have the mindset of I'll do it myself.
Yes,
Why do you encourage mentors?
because these are people that have already done it, and they can save you a lot of time thinking about this, researching things, mistakes that you make, because you don't have somebody that can say to you, oh, I've already tried that and this was easier, right? So I think mentorship is so key.
Absolutely. I wanted you to say that because I it happens all the time. Even when it comes to people supporting your business, right? People will
Mhm.
go to Charles Schwab. They'll go to Edward Jones.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, do you know I do this for a living? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm over here. But they'll choose them, and you're here right in front of their face, right?
Right.
Because they want to do it themselves. They don't want help from Ms. Rojas, who I knew growing up or who I saw go through the struggles. But
Yeah, and I think part of that also is people's privacy, right? So they're like, "Oh, I don't want her to know that, I only have $50,000. So, I don't I'm just gonna go somewhere else," because there's shame around money. And there might be also like, oh, this person might tell this other person, right? So that's part of it too. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to your friends, right? But lean on people. For example, as a financial advisor, look at your successful friends and ask them who their financial advisor is, right? Don't ask your broke friends. Ask your successful friends, who's your accountant, who's your advisor. Find other business owners. If you're a business owner, find other business owners that do it better than you, that have grown it, 5 times what you've grown the business, and follow them. They're not your competitor. They can be your guru.
Ms. Rojas is my most profound question, my final
Mhm.
question. How do you handle the pressure of being a role model for other single moms?
I don't think there's much pressure around it, to be quite honest. I don't find it as pressure. I love to share my story and be able to help in any way I can, right? Um, and really share the wisdom that I've learned as a single mom. And I think that if you're a single mom and you're watching this, or you're a single dad and you're watching this, I think one of the biggest gold nuggets of wisdom that I can give you is that, remember that the biggest asset you have, okay, if you're going through a divorce, or if you're already divorced, the biggest asset you have is your children. That's it.
Mm,
Everything else you can rebuild. But if your child feels alone during this process, if your child feels like they are in the middle and in between two people, and they feel like they have to choose a side, or if you are saying anything negative about your ex-spouse in front of your children, then you are doing them a huge harm. And that's really what's going to be so important in the future, because you can wound your child or you can heal them. right? And so don't use that platform to heal yourself because you're angry. So that's, I think, the biggest nugget of wisdom I can give people and single parents.
Ms. Rojas, you have shared so many incredible nuggets this episode. This is on fire. Ma'am,
Oh,
how can
thank
people
you.
connect with you? How can people learn with you? How can people set up a consultation with you? And what do they need to have prior to setting up that consultation with you and your team beforehand?
Yeah, so you can find me on moneymindsetadvisors.com. That's the best way to find me. I'm also on Instagram, and you can just DM. If you DM, one of my team members will get back to you. They can set up a 20-minute call as well to answer your finance questions. And then, of course, you can find me with my book, 31 Badass Money Mindset Affirmations, on Amazon and Audible.
Love it. Love it. Connect. This has been epic. You all
Thank
gotta
you.
connect. Ms. Rojas, I want to say this to you publicly.
Uh-huh.
Don't ever quit. We
Oh,
need you.
thank you.
We
Thank you
need
so
you.
much. Thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Marcus.
Absolutely. Like we gotta let this woman go. She has many more lives to change and many more journeys to inspire and encourage. Check out our Instagram. It is dope, y'all. We gotta let her go. We are out of time. So sorry. But connect. This has been a profound episode. We gotta let her go. And so I want to say this to you all publicly. Two things. One, go vote. Go vote. Two, don't forget to lead with love in all things you do. Business, family, relationships. Lead with love. Always. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the beautiful, incredible, the amazing Miss Scarlette Joyce Rojas signing off. Love you guys.